This is a Podco original.
Hey, I'm watching you. Yep, I'm watching you as you press that. Just click on that follow button right there. Yeah. Okay, I'm watching. All right, did you do it? Okay, good. Thank you.
Once the two pilots failed, they just said, well, let's put you on Full House.
And Lori Loughlin came back.
Oh, nice.
And replaced the other actress that was on the show. And it was only because the other actress got fired in one afternoon. I called Les Moonves and said, hey, Lori's here visiting me on the lot. And he goes, tell Lori to stay there. But he would still go out and people would just be sitting in the front row going, I can't believe that's Danny Tanner
talking
like this.
And finally, Stamos said, everybody needs to stop.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of Full House Rewind. I'm your host, Dave Coulier, and our special guest today is none other than David Lipper. David is a very talented actor and producer, but Full House fans, you know him as his character Viper. He's appeared in 4 episodes of Full House and reprised his role on Fuller House. You can get more info about David at davidlipper.com. Here's a pic of David when Full House was on the air. Wow, look at that. Please welcome David Lipper. Look at that. Thousands of people in our studio audience cheering, going wild.
Thousands.
David, how are you?
Very good. Very good.
I have not seen you in many a moon.
I don't know if I saw you since we played hockey together for one of those celebrity
It was one of those charity games, right?
A long time ago.
Oh my gosh. I have so many questions to ask you, including hockey stuff,
Great.
But we're going to jump right in. We're going to be talking a little bit about episode 7 of season 2, also known as Beach Boy Bingo. Mm-hmm. And this episode was directed by Steve Zuckerman and first aired on ABC on November 25, 1988. So, Dave, can you give us the little rundown there of what this episode is about?
Sure. Well, DJ wins a radio contest, and then she can't decide who she wants to take on a dream night with the Beach Boys. Mm-hmm. But the Beach Boys make her decision for her when they arrive at the house unexpectedly.
Because the Beach Boys just show up at your house sometimes,
Yeah.
You know? That's a typical Full House episode. And we're going to talk more about this episode. We're going to describe what's happening in this episode, and then there's going to be little pops, little pictures up here somewhere where you can kind of read along. It's like story time with Full House, all right? I'm going to start us off. Season 2, Episode 7 opens with a teaser in Michelle's room. Stephanie is sitting next to Michelle, reading her the story of Cinderella. Michelle insists that Stephanie read the story again and again.
And the show opens in the kitchen where DJ's serving breakfast to Michelle and Stephanie. Danny enters wearing a Hawaiian shirt, of course, and announces that the Beach Boys are going to be guests on Wake Up San Francisco.
Wake Up San Francisco. And then Joey and Jesse enter and start singing Surfin' Safari with Danny. They thank Danny for inviting them to meet the Beach Boys at the show and talk about some Beach Boy memories that they both have.
And then we cut to the Wake Up San Francisco set. Joey asks Jesse if they can enlist the Beach Boys to sing on their new jingle for Beach Butter Suntan Lotion.
As Danny begins to introduce the Beach Boys, he receives a note from the stage manager which says that the Beach Boys' plane can't land and they'll miss the show. Danny starts playing guitar and singing Good Vibrations as Jesse and Joey watch in horror.
Then we cut back to the house where Danny is ironing his suit in the kitchen. Kimmy Gibbler enters and reminds Danny about the Beach Boys not making their appearance on the show.
And then Jesse and Joey enter with a boombox and quickly tune into a radio show that is about to play their Eat at Beano's jingle. Eat at Beano's. They hear it and they realize it's been clipped.
And as the guys continue to listen to the radio, they hear DJ call into the program trying to win a dream night with the Beach Boys contest. So the entire family helps her guess that Help Me Rhonda is the correct answer to the question. DJ wins and is then asked who she'll pick to bring to the concert.
DJ wins. Man, this is getting better and better. It's the next morning and everyone is in the kitchen eating breakfast. They all try to gain DJ's favor in the hopes they'll be picked to go to the Beach Boys show.
Complete manipulation.
It is manipulation.
So then we cut to Michelle's room where Danny is watching Michelle painting a picture. DJ enters and shows Danny her outfit that she's thinking about wearing to the Beach Boys show. And Danny asks DJ why she picked Jesse to go to the show, and then laments about how much he loves the Beach Boys. As DJ exits, Danny sees that Michelle has painted her dresser. Danny tries to clean the paint with, of course, a sponge.
We cut to Jesse's room where Joey suggests that Jesse give the Beach Boys their jingle tape. Danny enters and shows Jesse Michelle's painting. DJ enters and tells Danny that he should go to the Beach Boys show with Jesse. Well, Danny reveals to Jesse that his feelings were hurt when DJ didn't invite him to go to the show.
So the family enters the girls' room and has a discussion about who should go to the Beach Boys show. Now the phone rings, and Stephanie announces that the Beach Boys have pulled into the Tanner driveway. Everyone exits and sprints to the front door.
The Beach Boys, the Beach Boys. Jesse opens the front door and we see the Beach Boys standing on the front porch. There they are. The family is in awe and quickly invite them into the living room. The Beach Boys want to know why DJ isn't coming to their show.
And it's only later that day that the family sits in the living room with the Beach Boys singing their smash hit, Kokomo. The Beach Boys invite the entire family to their show, and they break into another version of Kokomo.
Right on a Kokomo. We smash cut to the Beach Boys live on stage at the LA Memorial Coliseum, where a football game between the USC Trojans and Cal Berkeley Golden Bears is in halftime. The Beach Boys introduce the Tanner family to the crowd and invite them on stage.
So you got Jesse, Joey, Danny, DJ, and Stephanie leaping onto the stage and joining the Beach Boys to sing Barbara Ann.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut to various shots of the cast singing, and the stadium dancing and singing along. And during the song, Joey slips the jingle tape into Mike Love's shirt pocket.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty crafty. The song finishes and we all take a bow. And that is what happens in this episode of Beach Boy Bingo. Thanks for the help, David.
Fine summary.
Man, I'll tell you, anything jump out at you when we're recapping that episode?
The sprinting jumped out at me, that they sprinted to
they
the door.
sprinted, and a lot of just bands just showing up.
Yeah.
You know, Little Richard, the Beach Boys.
Frankie Valli on one of my
Frankie
episodes.
Valli shows
That's right.
up. You know, it was amazing how these Tanners attracted all these musical stars.
Thank you, John Stamos.
Yes, David, you're a busy guy.
I am.
Man, oh man, you know, I was catching up about you and I, when I was preparing for your appearance here on Full House Rewind, it came back to me that you're originally from Montreal.
Yep.
And then I remembered we played hockey together, and then we were kibitzing and schmoozing before the show, you know, as we do. And I said, "Hey, are you skating?" And David said, "Yeah, you're skating like 4 times a week."
4 times a week when I'm in LA. Yeah.
That's why that's why he looks like that. And I skate 1 time a week and I look like this. Big difference. I don't think I ever got to tell you this. My mom's side of the family is from Bathurst, New Brunswick, Canada.
Oh.
And some relatives in St. John and
Newfoundland?
Yeah. My wife, Melissa, and I took the train all the way from Windsor, Canada to Bathurst, New Brunswick.
Wow. Must
And
be
so
pretty.
we went through Toronto and Montreal, and it was
Kingston, maybe?
unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Yeah, Chatham, Belleville.
Right.
Yeah, Ajax. We hit them all. I'd been to Montreal for some like charity hockey game stuff, you know, but I'd never been to that eastern seaboard of Canada. It was so lovely, and the people were just like, I had to brush up on my French, of course. Do you still speak French?
I can.
Yeah?
You know, I don't get a lot of opportunity. When I go to Cannes,
Yeah.
I'll speak French.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, you can speak English to us. It's okay.
But in Montreal, I remember going there and I remember everybody saying, you know, if you try to speak French, they appreciate it.
They appreciate it, sure.
They appreciate
Yeah.
it more.
Yeah,
So I
especially
was like,
from Americans.
you know, I'd be ordering like at the hockey game and go, du Coke Diet, 2 Diet Coke.
That's right. Well done.
You know, so I was like, ooh, man.
It's funny. There's some things that they say in French, Canadian French, they don't say in France. So like they'll say chien chaud for hot dog, but in France, they'll just say hot dog. like Shanshou is
They're
like
more-
the literal, translation.
They're more progressive.
Yes, they are.
See, now my grandparents, Norman and Etta Como, are both from Bathurst, New Brunswick.
Ah,
But we had to check on that because they both had the same last name. So some things happened, I think, in our DNA because we don't know if my grandparents, were related. So, but
you may want to check that out.
Yeah. So I got some problems I have to overcome. But they spoke French when I was growing up, and my grandfather, it was like this Czech French. Is that what it's called or something? They call it Czech French.
Czech French?
Yeah, Czech is like this slang French. He didn't say we, he said "ouais."
Why?
Ouais. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? It sounds like
It's so
duck.
fun. I did a film called Reboot Camp where I played a fake guru, and I put on this French Canadian accent, and I called myself Gordon Saint Pierre, and I had seen this documentary about this French guru who walked around in his Speedo, and I said, that's the guy. That's the guy I'm gonna pretend to be.
Someone good to model yourself after, a guy in a Speedo.
But
do you get to
God,
do
we
that?
had so much fun with that movie. Ed Begley Jr. was on there, and David Keckner, and it was just
Keckner's
good
so
fun.
funny.
Oh,
He is so funny.
it's a mockumentary, so we just ad-libbed the whole way through.
Oh, how
I would
funny.
do these sessions with him, with Keckner and Begley, and trying to cure them of whatever they were going through.
Yeah, Dave's funny. Man, I'll tell you, he's a funny cat.
You got to stay sharp with Keckner.
Yeah.
He's fast.
Yeah, he's fast.
Yeah.
Were you a Montreal Canadiens fan
yes.
growing
Yeah.
up? Like, who were the big stars when you were growing up?
Well,
as a
when
kid?
I was growing up, we had season tickets. My grandfather had them.
Oh,
I used to go
man.
see Guy Lafleur and Larry Robinson and Steve Shutt. I mean, that
Wow.
Ken Dryden. And
Wow.
that was my team,
Yeah.
which I just dated how old I am, which is a really bad idea.
But that's great,
Yeah.
because they were winning cups back then.
Back in the 70s.
yeah,
Yeah.
was Scotty
Bob
Bowman
Gainey.
there? Was Scotty
Bowman
their
was
coach?
the coach. Bob Gainey was my neighbor, my next door neighbor.
Get out.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was playing street hockey with his son, Steve, in our lane. We had this lane behind our houses, and we used to go out there with sticks and a net.
That's a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Lane. We had a lane outside our house.
He'd be like, here are my dad's sticks. And we're like, oh my God, it's Bob Gainey's stick.
That is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Detroit. Gordie Howe, of course, and
Oh.
Ted Lindsay
Yeah.
and Alex Delvecchio. So yeah, that was one of the first things. And I don't know, back in the day, I'm like, did we already have this conversation about hockey? I'm sure we have.
I think on set, like back in those days when I first joined the cast, we didn't get to have all these great conversations, but certainly we got to play hockey eventually. And what's funny is I shot a movie that I wrote and starred in called A Christmas Letter, which aired this past Christmas Eve. That takes place in Sault Ste. Marie, Canada.
Yeah.
And these kids drive, they stow away on the mail truck delivering the mail to Santa. That's how they find Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And it goes from Detroit to Sault Ste. Marie, Canada.
I played hockey in Sault Ste. Marie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we would drive up
So I
there.
said, I'm in Coulier's neck of the woods here. This is beautiful. And speaking of the train, I mean, who knew there's a train that goes, I guess, all the way up past there, and they all come, and we couldn't get hotel rooms because of this bloody train to see the leaves change.
My wife and I drove up this past fall to see the leaves change. That's
There
a
you
big
go.
thing.
It's a big thing out there.
It's a big
I had no
thing.
idea.
It's a big thing, and we drove up to Lake Superior and went to the Painted Rocks, I think it's called. And
That river that basically is between Michigan and Canada, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, Sault Ste. Marie, Canada, is the gateway between Lake Superior and Lake Erie.
the locks.
That's right.
The
And
Sioux
so
Locks.
those great ships come through
Yeah.
there
That's
to get
fun
from
to
one
watch.
lake to the other. Yeah.
That's fun to watch. I went there with my dad.
Oh, no
My
kidding.
dad, you want to go see the Sioux Locks? We'll drive up there. And I drove with my dad to see the Sioux Locks. And I'll tell you how cheap my dad was. We were driving on the freeway, and my dad goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he puts his arm in front of me and slows down. I go, what happened? He goes, I think I saw a lighter on the side of the road. So he backed up, and there was a lighter on the side of the freeway. And my dad went out, and he goes, it's broken. I just thought, okay, that's just my dad. That's my dad. Stopped on the freeway.
Do not waste.
Because he thought, different era.
Perfectly
different
good
era,
lighter.
Perfectly good. You were an actor in Canada before you came to the United States, so you did a series, right?
Yeah, I did a show called Time of Your Life.
A bunch of them, like a ton of them, right?
I did 75 episodes of that thing.
Yeah.
It was like a Degrassi, but as a soap opera. It was on every day at 4:00, 5 days a week.
CTV?
CTV.
CTV.
And, that really was my training ground. And then by the time I got to LA, right after I graduated college, everything just happened so fast. I mean, before I knew it, Les Moonves said he discovered me. They gave me my own show at Warner Brothers. It didn't go. They gave me another show. It didn't go. And they said, we're putting you on Full House. I said, okay.
Les said that? Les
Yeah.
just said, how did you meet Les Moonves?
Just auditioning. I mean,
who was, back in the day, was...
president of Warner Brothers
president,
Television.
Yeah, president. And then he became president of CBS. Yeah. So he just... You knew him from somewhere?
No. I went in and I read for another Miller Boyette show called Step by Step.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I ended up testing with Sasha Mitchell. It was just the two of us for that role of Cody.
Right.
When I didn't get it, what happened is I got noticed. I mean, I was 2 weeks off the plane from Montreal. I just graduated college in Boston at Emerson.
Oh, Emerson.
I was
Vin
21.
DeBona.
Vin DeBona, Henry Winkler, a lot of great people came out of there.
Yeah.
Richard Dysart, people probably don't remember.
A lot of people from Emerson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like 2 weeks in, and I had a friend who was a casting director who said, I have another friend who's a casting director. I'm getting you a pre-read. I'm like, oh boy. And then I read for the casting director. He's like, you're good. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I'm taking your producers. And they're like, you're good. I'm like, I keep telling people this. No one's listening to me. And then we're taking
you tell enough people, they'll believe you.
Eventually they took me to the network and it was close. They actually took a few days to decide, which is rare. Normally they decide like on the spot. And I didn't know what was happening. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have anything. But then people started calling me. Hey, we heard you're testing for this pilot. We want to represent you. And I signed with an agent named Bonnie Likey, who's now a manager. But it was, that started everything. And it was, that was a Miller Boyette show. So they already knew who I was. And I think once the two pilots failed, they just said, well, let's put you on Full House.
Here's a show that's going.
Yeah, here's one that seems to be doing pretty well, season 8.
Yeah, okay, because I was trying to figure out, okay, how did you get from, but now I see the step-by-step connection, Les Moonves, Miller Boyette. Okay, you're already in the family, and that was the cool thing about Miller and Boyette, all their shows, because they had so many of them. And that happened to quite a few actors, that they were on another show, Miller Boyette remembered them and then said, oh, we're going to put you on this or that or this or that. That's kind of cool.
Between them remembering me from Step by Step and I think Les being a champion, because Kaufman Bright Crane had this little show called Friends.
Yeah.
So they made 2 pilots that year, Friends and my show called The Secret Life of Harry Green. And I was Harry Green. And my co-stars were Giovanni Ribisi, Hilary Swank, and Kaylee Coco.
Wow.
Now, if you can imagine this cast and these writers, and we tested through the roof, and it was just one of those weird things. Fox got the rights to football over that summer, and they said, we need a sports show, and they bumped us off the schedule, and that was it.
Isn't that crazy how like fate, you're just in the hands of some scheduling thing. And
some exec who had the genius idea of needing a sports show to keep the family audience on Sunday.
Yeah, and that happens a lot, more than you would think. I did a show called Local Zeros for CBS, and it was a Les Moonves story where he brought me in and said, I want Dave, I'll let you produce the show, but Dave has to be one of the 2 guys. And we shot that pilot twice. We shot it once and they didn't pick it up, but Moonves said, I really like this show. We're going to do it again. And so we shot it again, and Lori Loughlin came back.
Oh, nice.
And replaced the other actress that was on the show. And it was only because the other actress got fired in one afternoon. I called Les Moonves and said, hey, Lori's here visiting me on the lot. And he goes, tell Lori to stay there. I said, she should be playing this character. So Les made a phone call, and Lori came over and we shot the pilot. She started working that day. I go, are you free this afternoon? She goes, yeah, okay. The producer said, sure, we'll take Lori.
Of course.
And it was it was crazy. But yeah, it's weird. We both have a Les Moonves story
he was
where
great.
He waved the magic wand, And
then he said, as long as I'm president of Warner Brothers, you're always going to have a show with us. And then he moved to CBS, and I never heard from him again.
And then, but you came into Full House. I was surprised because it seemed like you came in much earlier than season 8, but you came in season 8.
Yeah. And what happened was, I was slated to be her next boyfriend going on and on for the rest of the series until they found out they were going to be canceled. And then they decided that she was going to make a decision between Nelson or me. Because I dumped her and then I wanted her back.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be me, but then she picked nobody because the show is ending.
Well, we didn't know because we were told that there was a possibility when the WB network started
That it would come
that
back.
we were going to do 2 more seasons on the WB. But at that point, season 8, people were kind of like, how many more stories can we tell? We've already told 192 of these. Like, not everybody was into it. I was like, I'll do 2 more seasons, man. I'm having a blast. I'll come in and do Popeye and walk out. It
was an expensive show, at that point.
At that point, it was
getting-
expensive.
Getting a lot, and I
Salaries.
think that was an issue, if I remember.
Yeah, salaries had gone up, and as shows do, everybody's salary everywhere on a show in success, everybody starts feeding out of the trough, you know, especially when we knew that syndication money was there. It's like, hey, we're in syndication. You want to do some more, But you became part of our Full House family because then you came back for Fuller House. So once again, they're bringing you back.
I've stayed in touch with John a lot. Candace.
I was going to ask you who you still keep in touch with.
Still talk to
from the
Candace.
show.
And Jody. So funny enough, I wrote...
She was here. She just did her Full House Rewind
Nice.
episodes. Yeah.
I had a movie that I was starring in and producing called Just Swipe. It was a romantic comedy. And Rachel Rothman reps both of us as manager. And I said, what about Jody for the lead opposite me? Would that be weird? And she's like, no, let me send her to the script. And Jody came on board. And that's been, went on Pop TV.
Yeah.
And now lives on Pluto, which is one of their streamers. But she did a great job with me. So that was a bit of a reunion. So Jody and I have stayed in touch.
Sure.
Also was good friends with her ex-husband, Morty, still am.
Yeah.
So there's been this connection that hasn't really gone away. Bob and I actually used to go out. We would hit the clubs together back in the day.
Hitting the clubs with Bob.
There was some of that
That's
going
another
on.
show. That's Full House Progressive. That's not Rewind. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob was not Danny.
No, he wasn't. He never was. I met Bob when I was 18 years old, way before Full House. And I never could have imagined him being
the clean-cut dad,
no.
the dirtiest act of anybody
Yeah, he
on
did.
his stand-up.
Yeah, he was. I give Bob a lot of credit for staying true to who he was because he became the host of America's Funniest Home Videos and Danny Tanner. So it was
Two family
these
shows.
Two very very family shows. But he would still go out and people would just be sitting in the front row going, I can't believe
I
Danny
can't believe that's
Tanner's
Danny Tanner.
talking like this.
It was always a little scary when he'd warm up the audience because you'd be like,
Yeah.
is he going to break into some of that?
Yeah. What was your experience like when you were on our set? I mean, was it fun for you? Was it?
It was amazing for me. I had kind of been getting over this trauma. It's really traumatic, by the way, when you're courted by a studio and a network and you're told you're their next big thing.
Yeah.
You have your own show. You're number one on the call sheet. You're first billing on the credits. And I'm a star and I've got this big cast and I've got this big show and it's gone.
Yeah.
And it was 3 in a row. It was, Secret Life of Harry Green got called Reality Check. And then I did the Martin Short show, and all my idols growing up, as an SCTV fan.
Oh,
growing
man.
up in Canada, like Martin Short, Brian Doyle Murray, Jan Hooks, Andrea Martin.
Dave Thomas is a good buddy
Dave
of mine.
Thomas stops by, and you're just like, he's like, I'm shooting next door. I thought it'd stop by. Eugene Levy is directing us.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
It's canceled. It's canceled. It's canceled. It's not picked up. It's
Isn't
not picked
that
up.
crazy? You got that much talent and a show just, well, we're going another way.
We were picked up for 13 and pulled after 3. And you're just
Wow.
like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
And we were in this crazy time slot, I think, between Frasier and Wings on NBC. So anyway, to have a show and one that was seasoned and going, and all you extremely talented people.
Yeah.
It was amazing for me. It was a huge win after all these failed pilots. It was just amazing to be on a show, and I wish I could have been on longer, and I wish it could have gone more seasons.
Us too. Us too. Because people remember that character.
I mean, when
Do
they
you
called
get
me
recognized still from it?
I get recognized more from Full House
Really?
than the 60 movies I've done since put together. I'm gonna say that again: 60 movies,
Wow.
and take them all together, and I get recognized more from Full House.
Isn't that crazy? The power of television, man.
It was a very big show. Still is.
And it is. And there's something in the Kool-Aid. We don't know quite what it is. I've talked about what it could possibly be, but I think it was the chemistry that you saw on screen. You can't fake that. And I think people just felt like it was video comfort food for a couple of generations now. And they loved the characters. They just loved the characters. Didn't matter how schmaltzy the scripts could be sometimes. We made those scripts come alive in a very organic way because we really liked each other. And you can't fake that. You know that.
I think you're right. You
know?
know, I've been on a lot of sets that are dysfunctional. That there's like,
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
won't
them
name
out there.
names, but there's some actors who have not been so kind to their crews and other people, and I've witnessed that when I've guest starred on other people's shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was not that. Although I will say, there was an episode where the stage manager was directing. And it was like the substitute teacher was in the house, and you and Bob were just completely uncontrollable and just goofing off nonstop. And finally, Stamos said, "Everybody needs to stop." And everyone just went, "Oh God, okay, John's getting serious now. We got to get
Bob
serious."
and I could get a little carried away. You got your own company now.
Yep.
When I started this interview and I said, "You're a busy guy," you're a busy guy, and now you're producing, and just tell us about that, because I think it's great that you're going into that area of show business.
I mean, kind of like I was saying, it's like I've had these projects that I've written and wanted to star in, and it's tough getting a movie made. And I had like this Christmas movie I wrote, spent 10, 15 years on this script, and it kept getting optioned and falling out. Finally, I said, I'm going to produce this myself. And it was that mentality, especially during the pandemic when no one was doing anything, where I said, I think I can just keep shooting. And I have a lot of guys and women that I know who are talented filmmakers who wanted to work. I said, well, look, I won't pay much, but if you come work with me, we can go out in the woods and shoot a movie called Curse of Wolf Mountain with Danny Trejo and Tobin Bell. And we shot a horror movie in 8 days, and that's out now. And I did a bunch of movies like this, like Just Swipe with Jodie. We shot that in the middle of the pandemic, the middle of lockdown.
She was talking about that.
In a house.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah, because I told her you were coming on, and she said, "Oh, tell Dave I said hi." And I said, "Yeah, I will."
She did a great job. That movie was a big win. Viacom scooped it up right away, put it on Pop TV and Pluto. So I started doing this, and a friend of mine, Bob Daly Jr., whose dad, Bob Daly Sr., was the chairman of Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Right? From 1980 to 2000, he, with Terry Semel, ran Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And he's like, God, you're so good at this producing thing. Really, somebody's going to scoop you up and want to do something with you. I'm like, do you want to do something with me? He's like, yeah. I was like, what do you want to do? It's like a partnership? But he's like, yeah.
That's awesome.
And he's like, yeah, you need some real money behind you. I can do that, and some clout. And he said, let's call it Latigo Films, because it's got a beach house in Latigo. And I said, great. And his dad is our senior advisor, and there's nobody better. And we just kind of went off to the races. We've made 15 movies in just over 2 years.
That's awesome. That is
8
awesome.
movies last year, including Freud's Last Session with Anthony Hopkins and Matthew Good, that's in theaters.
Well, I got 3 Christmas movies that I wrote, so
send them to me.
I'm saying it here out loud. You have to manifest this stuff.
But send them to me, please.
I hear you, man. I feel your pain, because
I'm in the Christmas movie. I'm a Jew, but I make Christmas movies. It's a funny thing.
My grandmother was a Jew too.
Yeah.
So
I wrote a Christmas film, and it's fantastic. And Jewish people love to write and music and stories for Christmas, because we love Christmas more than anybody.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know. I've spent many a Christmas with Saget. But I've also been to every Seder, every bris, every.
There we go.
I've been to everything. Dave, it is so great to see you, and thank you so much for coming on the show. And man, I wish you nothing but the best, because you're like
Thanks,
you're one
Dave.
of the good guys. You know,
I appreciate that, man.
And it's always good to see one of the good guys succeed. But we're not going to let you. We're not going to cut you loose yet, because you want to play a little game with me.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, right. Okay.
Is it pull my finger? No,
It's
not that.
It's pull my entire arm.
Because you used to do that on the show.
I
You'd be like,
did.
pull my finger.
I did. Yes, but we're gonna. I did.
That was
I
the
know.
humor back in the 80s,
I know
folks.
it was funny back then. It still is now. I got to
Still
tell
works.
you. We're gonna play a little game, and it's called Beach Me. The Beach Boys make their first appearance on Full House in this episode. So, David, I'm going to ask you some questions related to the Beach Boys and see how many you get correct.
Oh, God.
No matter what happens, I'm just telling you, you're going to win.
Ugh.
You're going to win. No one ever loses this game. So,
Good.
man, I feel it already. All right, you ready for question one?
Okay.
Okay. Brian, Carl, and Dennis Wilson formed the band with El Jardine and Mike Love. Was Mike their real life cousin?
I'm going to say yes.
Ding, 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 ding. See, you're already on a roll. There you go. The Beach Boys album Good Vibrations was hugely successful. Were the vibrations that they wrote about a tuning fork used for music, the way dogs hear, or about picking up vibrations from seeing a young, lovely lady?
Wow. Well, I'm going to go with deductive reasoning here. So the tuning fork would make sense as musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the vibe of seeing a woman would also make sense since they were Beach Boys.
Yes.
And seeing a girl in there. So I'm going to take out the middle one. I'm stuck between these two.
Okay.
Pitchfork.
Not a pitchfork.
And-
That's a different song. That's a different style of music.
Tuning fork.
That's
and,
death metal, I think.
Yeah, that's the horror film version of which I've done
Yes.
25, just so you know. I'll
yeah.
go with the beach for the Beach Boys, the girl vibrations.
The young, lovely lady.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. See? On a roll. Question 3. Here we go. Okay, here we go. You're almost over the hump of our questions. Here we go. The Beach Boys had 4 number 1 hits. Can you name any of them?
Good vibrations.
Ding, 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 ding.
So I only need to name one?
Yes, that's it. See?
Help Me Rhonda, probably one. Okay.
That's another one. Yes.
Right.
I Get Around, Help
Get
Me
Around,
Rhonda,
yeah.
Good Vibrations, and Kokomo. Okay, question 4. Here we go. In the Kokomo music video, which shows clips of Tom Cruise from the movie Cocktail, John Stamos is wearing a pink sleeveless t-shirt. What instrument is John playing?
Drums. I mean, that's what he plays.
Ding, 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 ding.
I know he's the drummer in our band.
I left a little dramatic pause in there.
I was like, geez, does he play something else? I mean, he does play a little guitar.
He was playing the conga drums and the steel drums.
There we go.
Yeah, 2. Okay, man, 4 out of 5. Here's question number 5, our final question. It's a true or false question. The song Forever was also featured on Full House. True or false?
I'm going to say true.
And it's a 2-parter. Ding, 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 ding. You got that part. Was this song written by one of the Beach Boys?
I'm going to say yes.
Ding, ding for the sweep. It was co-written by Dennis Wilson, and the song was from 1970 and featured on the Big Boys album Sunflower. Ladies and gentlemen, David Lipper.
I got them all.
With the sweep. Oh
Wow.
my gosh, here you go. Okay, now here you go. You are not going home empty-handed because you just won this Cut It Out t-shirt.
Wow.
There you go. I know. We do not skimp on our prizes.
Is cut it out referring to stop?
It's it was my catchphrase on the show.
Yeah.
Cut it out.
Oh,
it
right.
It was silly. It was sophomoric, but it became a t-shirt. for our show.
Sophomoric on the
Yes.
show? What?
Yes.
Please.
We get to do one more thing before we say goodbye.
Okay.
Okay. Because, folks, it's time for Cut It Out.
Cut it out.
Of course, every episode of Full House had a heartfelt scene, and we have cut out a scene from season 2, episode 7 that you and I are going to read together. So, David, grab your script. I'm going to be playing the role of Danny. You're going to be playing the role of Jesse. All right. So We ready to cue the music? Let's cue. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. It's Jesse and Danny, and they're talking in Jesse's room. Here we go.
What was that all about?
Oh, maybe she thinks she hurt my feelings when she picked you to go instead of her own father.
Did she hurt your feelings?
Well, maybe a little. I just thought, she'd want to go with her dad, but I guess I can't compete with Uncle Rock and Roll.
Danny, what are you saying here? You're saying that you're jealous of me? If there's anybody who should be jealous, it should be me jealous of you.
That makes no sense.
Danny, you have something going with these girls that I will never have. I mean, like Stephanie, when she made her first ceramic handprint. Who did she give it to? Dad. And what was Michelle's very first word?
Cookie.
After cookie. She looked up to you and she said, Dada. And DJ, when she gets married, who's going to march her down the aisle?
Dad.
That's right, Dad. See, there's 3 good reasons why I envy you. I just hope one day I'm lucky enough to have kids that love me as much as these girls love you.
They do worship me, don't they? Jesse, thank you for reminding me how lucky I am.
You're going to hug me, aren't you?
Leave me no choice. And they hug, and the scene ends, and that is beautiful.
End
and
scene.
We get to say goodbye, end scene, to my special guest, David Lipper. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you
very much.
Thank you, thousands of people. Thanks, Dave. Here are some of my thoughts about Season 2, Episode 7. This was the first time that the Beach Boys appeared on Full House, and it was also the first time that they would perform. We sang Barbara Ann live on stage at the LA Memorial Coliseum, where a football game between the USC Trojans and Cal Berkeley Golden Bears was in halftime. We had one shot to get it right live in front of 77,000 football fans. I remember running up the stairs to the stage thinking, this is probably the craziest thing for us to be doing, and I can't believe this is happening right now. Beach Boys were always so kind and so gracious, not just to us, but to our entire crew and staff, and especially their fans. So it was great for me to see such iconic legends being so humble and so grateful. I've always tried to do the same, the best I could throughout my career. Carl Wilson from the Beach Boys had an otherworldly singing voice. It was truly magical, and I got to hear him sing live on our stage. Carl was incredibly kind. He passed away a few years after our final Full House episode at the young age of 51, and I'll always remember him telling me how funny he thought I was. That was pretty great. I also remember that all of the Beach Boys had a wonderful sense of humor. They got all the jokes and they never took themselves too seriously as they went along with us on our Full House storylines that included them. I saw Mike Love and Bruce Johnston at John Stamos' 60th birthday party. They greeted me with smiles and laughed at my jokes. And yes, they were still as kind and humble as I remembered them to be. I listen to their music all the time, and it always makes me happy. We'd love to hear your thoughts about Full House. Tell us about your favorite episode or just why you love the show so much, or maybe you got a question for me. Shoot a short video and email us the link to it at socials@podco.us. We close every episode of Full House Rewind by giving all of you who need it a hug. This week, our feel-good hug goes out to all of you who love music. The beauty of music is that it comes in so many different flavors. So for all of you who love music, which probably includes all of us, this Full House hug goes out to you. Come on, bring it in. There we go. All right, everybody. That's our show. We'd like to thank our special guest, David Lipper, for stopping by. Join us next time here on Full House Rewind, and you can watch all of our episodes on our Full House Rewind YouTube channel. So long, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Full House Rewind. We'll see you next week.